The home opener Monday is putting Houstonians in a baseball state of mind.
Yes, indeed. We're also still thinking about those Space City jerseys that were just unveiled.
And why they didn't buy more for us.
A nod to Houston's rich space history. The Astros will debut these uniforms later in the week on April 20th. It got us thinking about Astros uniforms throughout the years.
Yeah, we've had quite a number of jerseys. I feel like everybody's got their favorite in town, especially longtime Astros fans. Who better to talk about it than Mike Acosta, team historian. He's with us on the Zoom call. Mike, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
That's great. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Just that one picture we put up brings back, I think, a lot of memories for people. 6 decades of looks for the Astros. I think we're going to go through a few of them. So help us out, Mike.
Okay, let's go.
Are we starting with the Colt 45s, of course?
Is
that our first one up?
Put up here. There it is.
Oh, Mike, tell us about this. Yeah.
Yeah, the Colt 45 uniform came about in 1962, and you see it's kind of creative with the Colt 45 pistol, the one that won the Old West. In fact, that's how the Colt 45s got their name. The person who submitted the name, he's actually said that the Colt 45 won the Old West and it would win the National League. And the C in Colts is the smoke coming out of the pistol there. So it was a direct tie to the past, this jersey for the franchise.
Okay. All right. Let's. We got another one here. The shooting stars, and that's the name of I guess the
gals who get
gals
up
who cheer and help out around the stadium these days, Mike. But let's look at the shooting stars jersey now.
Yeah, this shooting star is the original design, and this one came about. There was an artist that sat around Colt Stadium. You know, the Astros were the Colt 45s for 3 years before moving into the Astrodome in 1965. And there was an artist that the team had hired to go to Colt Stadium, watch some of the games, kind of get some inspiration. And they knew that they wanted to move towards a space theme, but didn't really have the full concept yet. But this was the end result. It's very classic in design, and it also was one of the influences for the rebrand that happened in 2013 that brought back or had the current uniforms kind of are inspired by this. It's a clean, classic look.
Really is.
It's really nice, beautiful. Right? Okay, let's move on now, Mike, to the rainbow stripe.
Yeah, well, the rainbow stripes. So this one is from the 80s, and of course, my favorite player of all time, Nolan Ryan, and then there's Jose Cruz and franchise icons. And this uniform came about where John McMullen, the owner of the Astros, he wanted to give the team Sunday whites because he said that his dad had a set of Sunday clothes for him when he was a boy and wanted to do the same thing. Now he owned the Astros. He wanted to do the same thing for them. So they came up with a Sunday alternate jersey. And they also wore kind of an off-white version of this on the road. And one of these uniforms here is actually that. It's very hard to see. It comes across as kind of a white or like a dull white, but it's not gray. It's kind of an off-white color, the initial one. Later in the 80s, it was more of a cream, or the team called it Alamo color. But this one here is from the early 80s and kind of looks a little bit more whitish.
Mm-hmm. What about the Navy jersey? And we have this, the year as being 1996.
Yeah, so this one here, the Astros were celebrating 35 years at that time. And of course now the team is celebrating 60 years in Houston. This one came about in the early 90s. The team, when Drayden McClain bought the club, they were going to do a rebrand. He wanted to change the colors. They actually looked at this design with the orange and navy. There were some video of that, the guys taking BP in the Astrodome with this version looking as it would have had they not changed the team colors. But they went with the metallic gold, the midnight blue. Metallic colors were very popular in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And this uniform was there for the last 6 years. A little bit of change here and there. They had an Astrodome patch early on. And then there was a 35 Great Years patch later in 1999 when they had their final season in the Astrodome. But it was a good, clean look, and it brought back kind of another version of the shooting star. This time at gold, and it was more of an open star.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So we turn the century here, get into the 2000s, and what do the uniforms look like at that point?
Well, moving over to what was then Enron Field and then became Minute Maid Park for the first time ever. I remember in 1999 and seeing the style guide and the preview of what was going to come when the team was going to move downtown, and it was red. It was we were told it was kind of like a beige, but it actually was called sand and then black. And this was a little bit unusual because it went totally away from anything that was there previously in franchise history. And the team colors were mainly branded after the colors of the stadium. So you have the brick red, you have the limestone sand color, and then the black was influenced by the old locomotives that used to go in and out of Union Station there on the site where Minute Maid Park sits today. So it was a much different influence, but the Astros were a solid brand in Houston, and they did not want to really change the name, so they just changed the colors. But it was a little bit of unusual.
I feel like they did that throughout the 2000s. I mean, so we've got the pinstripe picture. We talked about some of the reddish color along the way up until today. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, everybody thinks of the rainbow uniform as like, the most iconic uniform, but this pinstripe that came about in the 2000 season, this is a 2005 World Series jersey here. This jersey was actually worn one season longer than the rainbow uniforms were. That's kind of hard to imagine because, everybody loves the rainbow uniform. But this is the uniform that was worn the longest by one season in franchise history. And this kind of...
Well, we've seen the rainbows coming back. Sorry to cut you off, Mike, but we've seen that coming back with the iconic sweater and some of the others, like the throwbacks are here in full effect. But we got to go, Mike. I'm sorry. We've eaten up all the time. We could go on all day.
And you got us excited for the season here. Let's play some ball. We got opening day coming up on Mondays. Mike, you have a good weekend, and thanks for being with us this morning.
You too. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Hey, we had to cut him off.
I know. I want to just talk to him all morning. Yeah.
I know y'all got some of them jerseys at home.